We are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good day. This is Ian from the AutoHub show. Here we go.
Tony, I'm the general manager of Fred Beats Key and Land. I just wanted to take a minute to talk about Larry Feldman, Career Changers USA. Larry and I have been working together for about the last 12 years now. And anything I've ever needed as far as recruiting, training, Larry has been right there. Larry's got me salespeople, he's got me managers, he's got me technicians even through the toughest times in the industry. And he is just the kind of guy who's going to tell you exactly what's on his mind. He's going to tell you exactly what he thinks. But Larry also has the expertise to back it up. When he was in the dealership world, he was a top performer. And that's really important to my staff, especially as it pertains to training. A lot of people can come in and teach out of a textbook, but Larry has a real world experience dealing with customers, dealing with situations in dealerships that we go through on a daily basis and try to train on. But Larry's been through it, so he can really empathize with the people and tell you what's worked for him and maybe what way not to go. Larry is just always at a 10. I mean, his energy level is always up there. And I think people, they just love that and they feed off of it. He's not faking it. He is genuinely excited to come in and help you. He's excited to come in and help grow your business. And he's one of those people who just really enjoys seeing dealers succeed and have a lot of fun at the same time.
Life is about connection. Having a support system to lean on. And roads to endless possibility. At every turn, guiding the way, we are building the connections that move you.
So what would your dealership feel like if your entire sales staff was literally on fire, your sales and service staff? They were nonstop all over social media, completely dominating your marketplace. They could do it in 30 days or less and then continue their education to do it for an entire 6 months or a year. You literally would completely take over the entire marketplace and no one would be able to compete with you. And that's what we can do for you. So when you're walking around your community, whether you're at local restaurants or you're going to the gym, you don't want to be bothered? Fine, you won't be bothered. But a lot of people will walk up to you and say, oh my God, I love your social media. Your staff is amazing. We love what you're doing in the community. We want to come buy a car from you. We want to get an oil change at your dealership. Your community is absolutely going to love you. And it doesn't matter what platform you're on. You could be on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all social media platforms. You will literally be all over the place. And not only will you have ads running, but your own staff is going to be promoting your brand and promoting themselves within the dealership and within the business. So it's like running an ad times 100-fold because your entire staff is participating in the process. I've traveled all over North America. I've trained Toyota. I've trained Nissan. I've been to driving sales. I've been to Women in Auto. I get hired as a speaker for conferences at universities. universities all over the country, and I can help change the trajectory of your dealership right now.
Good morning and welcome. So as always, I came up with a few books. There's a lot of books on AI, just a lot. There's a little bit too many, I thought. But anyway, of the top 5, I picked a few. So AI 2041 by Chen Qifan, The Master Algorithm, How to Quest for the Ultimate Learning Machine That Will Remake the World, and Superintelligence, Past Dangers and Strategies. A disclaimer, obviously the opinions expressed on the AutoHub show are not the opinions of the AutoHub show or Ian Nethercott. You can definitely read this disclaimer on our website. So today we're going to talk about the AIO show. There's been a lot of AI specifically at NADA and also around the world, probably starting with ChatGPT was the first time people really heard about it. That's now baked into a lot of products. But before we get into that, I also want to let everyone know we're going to be at a SodaCon. Me and my wife will be there. We'll be doing ambush interviews at the show, and I believe we'll be there on Tuesday night, so Wednesday. So if you're going to be at a SodaCon in Baltimore, we will be there in person doing interviews. All right, so let's get into it. Here we go. So we need to stop screen, and then we need to present share screen, entire screen. This one, share, and then stop. And then we're going over here. Here we go. All right, so good morning. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by in order of people that showed up. And if you didn't see in the chat for the show, here are a couple AI software that people are paying for. I'll just leave it up here for a little bit. So we're going to start with our good friends from CDK. So who wants to start first? We have so many. Let's start. Who was in first? Joe was in last. Troy was in. So who else do we have? Leigh.
Did I win? I won. All right. I like to start a Monday with a win, so I appreciate it.
First one. So tell us more about Leigh, what your story is, what you do, and go.
Yeah. Thanks, Ian, and thanks for having me. I'm Leigh Conver. I'm Senior Director for CDK Global's Data and Intelligence Group. And for the past 25 years, I hate to age myself, but 25 years now, I've been nothing but data and intelligence in retail automotive. So this topic is one that actually excites me. And I appreciate you taking the time to talk about it, inviting us on, everyone else kind of here that's here to talk about the topic. Super excited. And do you want to start talking AI? Do you want to introduce everyone else first?
Well, I'm going to introduce everyone else, and then what we'll do is we'll jump into some questions.
Okay.
So I believe Mr. Ingram was in next. So go ahead, Mr. Ingram.
Wow, I thought I was the last guy to show up because, slacker. Car guy.
Slacker.
Yeah, so Joe Ingram, sales genius, come from the dealership world, now currently training dealerships. Taken several rooftops as management to 1,000 cars a month. And so I now train large dealer groups to increase their productivity and stuff with AI. And I love me some sales.
Fantastic. So we also have Larry Feldman, one of our show sponsors. And of course, we have Troy Glenn. I believe Larry was the last one. So Troy, go ahead.
Hey everybody, I'm Troy. I'm the Director of Sales for Western Canada for CDK Global. And, I've been doing this for a while, and I'm glad someone out there loves me some sales because I do too. Glad to see you guys.
And we do have April Simmons, who should be joining shortly. Larry, are you there? I don't know if he's there. I know he's driving today. So anyway, so let's get into it. April may join. She texted me. She said she was running a little late. So April's from Honrne Automotive Group, I believe in Arizona, New Mexico. So AI is certainly redefining how our world works in 2024, how we interact with others. How do you feel it will change? Well, April just joined, so why don't we have April introduce herself as she joins?
No
April,
pressure.
can you hear me?
No pressure. Yeah.
I can.
All right, so introduce yourself to everybody, and we're talking about AI today, shockingly.
I know, right? It's such the hot topic. Good morning, April Simmons with Honrne Auto Group. I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties while trying to pack to head out to a 20 group. So, but could not miss this conversation. So excited for it.
Fantastic. So since you're the last one on, I believe we might have someone else as well. Larry, I think's on somewhere, but I think he's driving. And I was going to ask this question anyway, so why don't I start with you? AI is certainly redefining how the world works in 2024 and how we interact with others. How do you feel it will change the nature of work in the car business in 2024?
You know, as a person who likes to consider myself an early adopter, this is one of those things that I went out, tried a couple of things, and then pulled way back hard on the reins, because what I'm finding is that the promise of what AI can do and its actual reality are two different things. And what I mean by that is we forget that AI still needs, it's like a toddler, right? It still needs to be told what to do. And unfortunately, us in the car business, we tend to be reactive, not necessarily the most proactive bunch. And because of that, our expectations on what it can do and what it can actually do are not exactly there. So I think it's important that we understand and communicate with one another to educate first, so that we're prepared as we jump into this world of AI. But I will tell you, there are some really cool little things that I've adopted into my day-to-day that has made things more efficient for me, has made things easier for me to get to the finish line on. You know, I may even be able to simmer down on some of my notebooks by the end of the year because, you know, AI takes better notes than I ever could. So I think there's some really positive things that are out there, but I think we also have to be careful on the fact that it doesn't all integrate the way we think it is. Getting humans to, you know, do things differently than they've always done them is very difficult, very, very difficult. And so we just need to be more of the turtle approach versus the hare approach.
Fantastic. Thanks for that. Leanne, I mean, I know you're on the data side, but I know at NADA this year, there was a lot of AI companies out there. So what's your opinion from a data-centric side or from a CDK side?
Yeah, and absolutely agree. A lot of what we look at is not AI just for the sake of AI. It's really where can we use it to implement certain problems. And from the data side, also agree. Artificial intelligence without data is just artificial. You really need that data. You need to be constantly training the model. So completely agree with everything you said. But for me, I feel like artificial intelligence is becoming so ubiquitous, right? You don't even know how it's being used. You're using it maybe without even knowing it. I think the question really is not necessarily how is it going to change, but what isn't it going to change in our space or world, right? So CDK we've been doing for 3 years now an artificial intelligence survey in the dealership. And I will tell you, when we first did it, we got kind of some blank stares, not a lot of responses. It is exponential, the amount of AI that's being used and how dealers are really being able to take advantage of it just from when we first started doing it to when we're doing it now. And then, you know, just like all of you, I go to NADA every year. I think the last 3-4 years, we were talking artificial intelligence, and it was a lot of just explaining what AI was to dealers. And I will tell you, this last NADA, I got into a conversation with one dealer on what is the best way to train like a large language model. So it is becoming ubiquitous. It's becoming everywhere in the dealership. I think it will touch everything. Maybe not car washing, but heck, you never know. I could be wrong. In 2 years from now, AI is washing our cars too, right?
Thanks for that. And now we have some salespeople with some sales thoughts. Joe, what do you think about AI from a sales perspective?
Okay, so I also the early adopter. Myself and another trainer on the East Coast were testing ChatGPT the first week it came out, and I'm typing something on my side. He's typing something on his side. Going, did you get the same answer? Did you get the same answer? Right? Let's just see if it's actually consistent. I do believe we have a huge opportunity in automotive to elevate our professionalism and how we interact with a customer with AI. But I believe everybody is not focusing on, you know, how do I implement into what I have? I think the focus is more of how do I replace everything I have with a robot that does everything? And I think we're shifting it the wrong way. And so for me, I believe we have the unbelievable ability to make data smart decisions, right, through the CDK model, right? But we have the ability to make our decisions on data instead of gut feel anymore, right? And that's primarily what we always did. I don't know what's working right now, but let's change something and see if it makes us any different. But the communication experience with our customers, I believe, is where we have a huge opportunity. But it's not about anything other than, like, I believe we're going to have somebody in our dealership that's the AI person that's in the stuff. Just like we go, oh, we have a social media company now. Well, who's managing our AI? Who's managing to make sure that all these systems and tools are working together? And I do believe the people part is the part that we need the most of, and the people with all the experience that we have, how do we incorporate that and how do we make it the most effective for everybody?
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been some, I guess, some thoughts on it so far that I've heard all over the place, and I've been playing around with it for a while. There's even a trainer that I know who created a training model based on all his training with AI, which was kind of interesting. That was kind of interesting. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely, and I actually watched an F&I webinar. I was going to edit some of the video from it, but it was just too long, where he was basically using AI to come up with responses to customer objections for F&I products, which that was kind of interesting use of it. But Troy, what do you think from a sales / data problem? Because obviously you work with a lot of dealers.
Well, I'm gonna sort of dovetail a little bit off of the back of what April was saying, and that it is a buzzword right now, and everyone's talking about AI, and there's AI apparently embedded in everything. But I think we have to take a step back and realize that there's a big difference between real artificial intelligence and machine learning and just simple automation. And a lot of companies are saying they have AI equipment in their software, in their product, and whatever, but it really is just a slightly more automated process. And so what I think dealers are going to find is, as they become educated and realize what AI can do for them, or what they're going to use AI for in terms of, again, we're not replacing people with robots kind of thing, but how do we have a better customer experience? Then they'll be able to understand the difference between helping people be more efficient through automated processes and automating the things that humans don't really need to do, pick up the phone and book a service appointment, versus actual machine learning using, petabytes of training data that is acquired throughout the entire industry to come up with actual insights. And I think salespeople are going to be able to clamor on the whole I have AI situation for a little bit longer until people get caught up and they realize that it's not really AI, you're just automating a process or two. So us sales guys have to get educated pretty fast.
Absolutely. We all know car dealers and OEMs are always looking for the next new thing to help them grow their business, create efficiency, and lower staff count. Is AI the silver bullet and what they're really looking for? And let's start with April on that one, since you've been trying the silver bullets. Is that the one?
Yeah, it's interesting. There's no such thing as a silver bullet, and that's sales guys and vendors, and they like to come in and say, hey, we can solve all your problems, and let me tell you about your problems, right? And I think that's one of the things we always have to be cognizant of is, well, what is my problem? Because my problems, even within my own stores, are different, store to store to store. They're not all the same. They don't use all the same stuff. So there is no such thing as a silver bullet. What I am interested to see that I think AI really has a capability of, as we step forward, is going to be the communication. I think that will be perhaps the helpful silver bullet, is if all the vendor partners out there start to really open up and allow true integration, we will see the capability of communication in ways that we can't do today. One of the biggest pain points for any dealer is things like scheduling service appointments, but more importantly, status updates, things like that, where they just get so busy running through the day, they don't intentionally try not to give good customer service. It's just there's a million balls in the air at any given time. And so being able to really do that, the problem is I've gone down the rabbit hole of a lot of the silver bullets, so to speak, and nobody can really do it without the human involvement, which then takes away from the ability for it to actually really do what you need it to do. It might do 70%, but we still have to participate in the other 30%. And is that feasible? Does it work within your process? And most importantly, are your people willing to change how they do things today? That's the most important aspect of it all.
Oh, 100%. So let's switch to a sales point of view on that from Joe and see what you think. And then we'll go to a data piece. How's that? Go ahead.
Perfect. Okay. So when I look at AI and I look at what's out there, and again, I believe anybody who works for the AI companies is going to pitch it as the silver bullet, right? And of course, we're all looking for it. Maybe it's just a bronze bullet at this point in time, right? That we can actually work with. Maybe it's a little copper, but overall, it comes down to the fact that if you have a process, and I love the communication piece because I can elevate what my people truly sound like and what they're putting in print to somebody else. But I keep stressing that without the human in it, you're going to be sending off stuff that doesn't make a lot of sense. A large language model that's built off of everything that's ever been printed on the internet is going to give me a much different answer. And you were poking at me earlier. I made the actual AI off of my training. So it knows what we're doing within a dealership world. And so to look at it, like let's evaluate a phone call from an actual salesperson and a prospect. But if you're doing it from all of ChatGPT's data, all of, everybody's different variation of it, it's going to give you something completely off base from automotive. And so, and that's where I look and say, we got to have people that are using it, that are proofing it, that are making sure that it's sending out what we want. And we need to be looking at that tiny little sliver of automotive AI, not AI all over.
You mean Shakespeare isn't important in AI and automotive?
Exactly. I have no clue. I don't care what Elon's take on it is right now. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, I need to help the customer understand that we're professional, that we're somebody that's respectable, and we're going to do business above board. And I think that's where we have the ability to do that.
Fantastic. Leanne, obviously data is important, but automotive data is what you guys specialize in. Do you agree with Joe on that, or what's your take?
100%. If you couldn't see me nodding, let me say it visually. Yeah, it's absolutely true, right? Customer interactions are customer interactions, but automotive retail interactions are unique. And that whatever model you're using, whatever AI you're using, needs to really understand the automotive space, understand dealers, understand what they're looking for, understand what the customers are looking for, or it's going to fail. Because I absolutely agree. I have a hard time calling anything a silver bullet, but it definitely can help in areas. And we're talking about communications or stuff like virtual assistants. With AI, it isn't necessarily at the point now where it's going to replace workers, but it's going to enhance the functions that those workers do. For example, with our virtual assistant, we call it Ava. You can have technology that you can engage with a customer 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So you don't need your staff to be in there 24/7. You have someone that can enhance it when they're not during working hours, right? Ava can speak 50 different languages. I don't know how many languages everyone on this call can speak. I'm maybe 2 at best, but you can have anyone that's engaging in
49.
here.
49.
Okay, you're very
there.
close.
Yeah.
Sorry. But you can have someone that can talk in any language or switch in any language. And so you have that. You can have it from a sales perspective, right? Ava can help increase the touch points. We've had people, dealers using our Ava tool that have increased from like 5.6 to about 20 different touch points on those leads. So it still doesn't mean you're getting rid of your sales manager, right? It's just there to enhance, to help them in their day-to-day job. And the great thing about AI, I'd like to think that I'm getting smarter every day. Maybe as I age, it's not happening, but AI gets smarter every day, every minute. It's learning from that. It's getting that automotive data in there. For example, you could get sentiment data where you could understand through AI the responses that a customer is giving. Are they pissed off at us? Do they not like what we're doing? Now, they can't necessarily then have the emotional intelligence to fix it, but that can provide that information to the people in the dealership to then help turn that around and have that human connection. So 100% agree. It's aiding that human connection that the dealers have today.
Fantastic. I was at the grocery store on the weekend, and there was this sausage company, and they had a sausage called Vampire Killer. And she's like, "Oh, it doesn't have that much garlic." And I said, "That's not something you want to tell people after you name it Vampire Killer." That was hilarious. Go ahead, Troy. What do you think?
Well, it's been said by a couple other guests today already, but the best AI is an enhancement to what your employees are doing, but you still have to be really good at the human stuff. And any dealer that thinks that they're going to be able to slack off on the human stuff, it's that whole adage of like you can't outwork out a bad diet and expect to get abs. You can't aim at your dealership with a crappy process in the background and still expect to have a great experience from your customers. So the AI needs to be tailored to what your customer experience goals are, and not just expected to come in and solve all the problems because it's using data from all over the place when, to the earlier point, it might not even be the right data. We use in-house data that we've been collecting for 40 years, so we think it's pretty clean. We know it's pretty clean, but I don't know what a small startup in someone's garage is getting their training data from. I can't vet that out. So unless you have that backstop of a great human process, it's really not. It's not even a bullet. I think at this point, I think it's a Nerf dart.
That's interesting you bring that up, because obviously when you're looking at tools, even if the tool is magic, and we know all these tools are, how would you implement it into process and training? And I know April's played around with these. Would you consider some staff to be AI worthy and some staff just not to be able to use that tool? What do you think? Can you hear me? Oh, there you go.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries.
I do think that there are some people that are easily adaptable, but that goes against the grain of the majority. So it's a slow-moving process because there's two different ways to get people to do things. Either you force them or you get them to drink the Kool-Aid. When we force them, I find that it's actually way more difficult to get to the finish line, and you actually do get some fallout. I've had people quit over software change, which just seems insane, but I've had it happen. And I think right now, as we're in this difficult, change of time in the car business to begin with, rocking the boat too hard may not be in our best interest. So you have to really. It's about laying a lot of groundwork ahead of time before you actually implement, so that they're prepared when it comes, and it's not as big of a change. And if you get too much pushback, then maybe it's time to pause for a minute before you actually move forward. Because otherwise, like Troy said, we have to be really cognizant of the fact that AI will not work without the people right now. It will not.
Understood. Yeah. It's funny. I used to work for a company called DRFX, and I used to train technicians and service writers on tablets and other things. And some of the service techs were like, "Get out of my bay." Like, I want to talk about tablets. And it was just kind of interesting. The resistance to change was really, really sometimes confrontational. It's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have wrenches.
Yeah, they were like, "Listen, get out of my way, dude." Like, I got the paper and the clipboard. Like, what are you talking about? It's really interesting. You want to use tablets now? Really? Yeah, it was kind of funny.
Well, but then you look at today, we've got them taking videos.
Oh yeah.
So we have come a long way in a short period of time.
Oh, yeah.
We bust on ourselves and we bust on our industry, but ultimately we are adaptable. We just have to make sure the juice is worth the squeeze before we're willing to try things, I think. Yeah,
I was using a flip cam almost 15 years ago. So I was sending videos to people on a piece of tech that I think still works. I think I have it around here somewhere. But that was very revolutionary at the time. You plugged it in, and it was a very old school compared to what can be done today. But yeah, I agree that the change is definitely there. But what does the data tell us, Leanne? What do you think from a
Yeah.
data perspective.
Talk about change. When I first started, we did data integration. We did data integration with Dealer FX. It was literally modems dialing in, and I still dream with that sound in my ears that my kids will never be aware of, but dialing into systems to be able to get data back and forth. So it is crazy the amount of technology change that the retail automotive space has adapted. So I have confidence we're going to be able to adjust to this one. But I think April touched on it, like change management is huge. This is, you have it when you're just implementing new tools, but this had the added concern from users. You know, it sounds like we got a lot of early adopters on the phone or here where we're all jumping to use it. I love using it. I'm constantly trying to new ways to use it. So that's a good thing, but you're absolutely going to have those that are a little concerned. And what does this mean for my job? How does this work? And the more that you can position it as really enhancing and learning from it. One of the examples, we have a predictive service tool, and I know a lot of dealers are, you know, struggling with getting service technicians hired and trained. Something like predictive service can help them come up to speed quickly on what are the types of services that I should be selling to my customers. So it's really a way to help them. And if they see it that way, it's great. I'd also say the other thing you think about, two other things you think about when implementing AI, besides just AI, we've talked about a lot, is the training of the model, getting that feedback, making sure it's learning, feeding them much into it as you can say, hey, this worked, this didn't work, and it gets smarter. And then the third thing really is if it's AI using to fix a broken process, it may not fix that broken process, right? It's if you already have that process, you need to understand it may highlight what's wrong with your process, but what it should do is really add on, highlight that change, and help you fix it. And when you've got that good process, just augment it from a technology perspective.
Great thoughts, Joe. I mean, I know you're not the data algorithm person, but what's your thought?
I'm an engineer at heart, an electrical engineer by degree that somehow, you know, helps run dealerships. But I will tell you right now what I find in the dealership itself. What is the issue most people are going to have with AI? For one, I have an older set of experienced people that believe they know everything already, right? My team and I go into dealerships all the time to train them. And the first thing we have to do is overcome ego on whether you can teach me or not. I think the best piece, and that's why I took everything I have here and put it into a training tool, because it can be done real time. And that's where we lack a lot of times. Like we go in, we train you. Here's how you handle the objection, April, right? And April's like, I'm not getting an objection right now. And so I'm supposed to remember this, where right now we have in dealerships, I get this all day long. People text me and they're like, look, this guy used ChatGPT to write me an email. Right. And I'm like, I know, just look for the words, right? I hope this email finds you well. You know, it was written by AI. And so, but all of a sudden we're getting emails from clients asking us, like, they're like pages long of information. And they're saying, what is your discount for this? What is this, this, and this? And if you just copy and paste it into ChatGPT, you don't get an answer you can send. Right. And so the people are sitting there going, well, what do I do? And then so they'll use a tool, the tool I built, and it'll come back, but they read it as they get it. So they're learning. So you can watch that the tool gets used less as your staff develops. So it's like on the job training in the real moment. And I think that's what AI is going to offer us, regardless of where you get your information. It's going to be, I need help now, help me. And the AI has the time to do that, where my sales manager doesn't always have the chance to jump up and run into the BDC to help a BDC agent do an email, or an internet manager, things along those lines, where they can get the professionalism amped up. I mean, come on. I had a sales guy that would sell 25 cars a month for me, and he spoke 3 languages, and I don't think English was one of them. Okay. It was such a thick accent that went through, but because face to face, people knew he wasn't being malicious and he wasn't trying to put one over on him. But I would never let him send an email, and I'd never let him pick up my phones. Okay. Because you lost all that communication, where now that same person can send out an email that sounds professional by asking a tool to say, hey, can you rewrite this professionally for me, and have it go through.
Fantastic. What's the best way to choose the right AI solution, and how do dealers avoid buying more technology that won't get used or implemented? And I guess April is probably the one to ask, and she's probably looked at buying some of this stuff. But go ahead, or bought some.
Yeah, I have bought some. I actually have bought some. We've bought some, we've kept some, we've bought some, we've canceled some. We've bought some, canceled at one store, but realized it would probably work in another store. But because of that, the hardest part of any of this is the onboarding. And because of that, when it fails, the amount of time that has gone into it, you can never get that time back. So I am much more slow to try things in this space without really understanding it. And in fact, I'm at a place now where, yeah, I've got 2 pages of potential, opportunities, but now, I'm going to look at it 3 times. I'm going to have 3 other people look at it. I'm going to go to stores that currently use it and try to break it. That's the kind of process I'm going to go through before we look at trying and implementing. And, we have a couple right now that we actually canceled. We've made some adjustments based on feedback from us,
right,
that now perhaps we can give it a go again. But a lot of it really, really is in the onboarding with this. It needs to be slower. Don't be so quick. For the vendors listening to this, don't be so quick to not only get the contract signed, but say, okay, let's turn it on, let's turn it on, let's turn it on. If we slow down, then we can speed up.
Interesting. Troy, you talk about selling AI to dealers. Thanks for that, April. If you are talking to a dealer, do you first determine whether the dealer is even ready to try this, or what's your thought? I think some dealers may or may not be even ready, but go ahead. What do you think?
Well, I think there's probably an AI application for every deal. And not suggesting that we sell one that's going to solve every problem. It's not always just us. It could be anything. But the best AI is the one that your end customers don't know is happening. And that could mean you're having a conversation with somebody on a chat. They don't realize it's a chat bot that's powered by AI because it's so conversational. You might have a dynamic MPI. So for example, you have a 22 Porsche Macan with 35,000 miles on it. When you go in to get your typical service for that year, make, and model, well, based on all the data that's being seen on all the Porsche Macans of that year and chassis size and engine size all over North America, we're seeing rear brake sensor failure on a higher propensity. So dynamically, we add that line to the MPI. And then the next vehicle that comes in, that line disappears because it's only there based on what the AI is telling us, but it doesn't require any real intervention or any real extra learning. So to April's point, when you have an onboarding that's super arduous, then all of a sudden you're trying to teach people a different process within your process. Whereas if it just appears and somehow the employees feel, hey, wait a second, my life's easier. Like I run a check run every second Monday. So all of a sudden the check run button hits on my home screen every second Monday and then disappears on Tuesday because the system has like your phone saying it's 15 minutes to get to the gym today. Traffic is light. It's feeding information that I didn't know I needed, but is actually really relevant, will mitigate some of the onboarding challenges. And I think that it'll help increase the adoption of it. And so, when you look at your phone, it's telling you how long it's going to take to get to work. That's AI at work in your daily life. And so, yes, I think every dealer can find at least one AI application that will help them sell or fix cars better and more profitably, but also augment their customer experience at the same time.
Interesting. And Leanne, obviously you're looking at data, you're looking at AI solutions. Obviously CDK has some of those. Do you feel that dealers avoid buying them based on the fact that maybe they're just not ready, or do you think they just have trouble choosing what works for them?
Yeah, I think you run the gambit. What everyone said, right? It's really what fits that dealer need. And that's the approach kind of we've taken. I think there's a lot in this industry, in other words, other spaces, just AI for the sake of AI, and just doing that doesn't make sense, right? So being able to leverage an AI tool sensibly, effectively tackles a problem. And the other thing too is we keep saying AI is kind of a thing, a silver bullet, which it isn't. AI is just a broad umbrella of a bunch of very different tools that could be used to help dealers, right? You've got the machine learning, you've got natural language processing, you've got the generative AI, and each one of those may fit a specific need which the other one doesn't, right? You could use a machine learning to understand what is the propensity for a customer to buy. You can use a ChatGPT generative AI type tool, like in our intelligence suite tool. It's data analytics, which is, I could have 1,000 different reports, which are great, but if I just have 5 minutes to go in there and find my answer, I'd like to be able to go in and say, what are my RO, volume this month versus last month? I will dig for it. So, right. So there's all these different ways that you can incorporate it, and totally get, the pushback on making sure the AI tool, the joke I've always heard, right? The best diet you can follow is the one you actually will follow. So the best AI tool that's going to work is the one that will actually work for you. So what we've done is made sure to embed all of our artificial intelligence into the workflows that we already have, right? It's not a separate tool. The CRM, the propensity to buy model, is embedded right within the CRM. To Troy's point, you may not even know it's there, and all of a sudden it pops up saying, hey, did you know this customer you might want to pay a little more attention to because of our algorithm says they're likely to buy, and this is the vehicle that they're going to be interested in. So the more you can make it just every day, so there isn't that huge onboarding issue April talked about, I think the better it's going to be able to help the dealer out.
Fantastic. And just so you know, Tim Hayden wanted to be on the call, but he was in a 20 group meeting, so he couldn't be on the call. Joe Ingram, what's your thought? Should dealers just buy everything, or is there a process to it?
I think the biggest thing is called, it's baby steps, right? Go back to What About Bob, the movie. We're going to do baby steps into where you're going. Where are you most comfortable? I look at the GMs and they're like, well, I keep hearing about this AI. And I go, I know, and it's really hard to spell. But they go, but what do I do? How am I supposed to get this? And I'm like, okay, guys, stop and think. If you've got an issue, every GM has either come up from fixed side of the house or the variable side of the house. It's very rare to have the person who went on both. Okay. So then where is your comfort zone? Let's start there. Do you want to set service appointments? Do you have a service BDC that needs a coach real time? Right. Then let's look at that piece. Don't look at how do I incorporate AI across my entire dealership. Baby step on your way in, right? I believe a lot of the people on the variable side, when they're looking at sales, the issue we're having right now is we have what we call our COVID salespeople. Okay, those are the people that joined during COVID when they went, it's that car or that car only, right? And then the customer was like, okay, and I'll pay over sticker, right? And the person's like, they're like, I don't know why everybody says this is so hard. Okay? and now as everybody starts flooding their lots with stuff, they're like, what do we do now? What do we do now? And the salesperson's like, well, wait, there's more than just one to point at and tell you have to take that one, right? So again, if that's the issue you have, then let's look at that, okay? But the biggest thing you have to say is, what is it that you can bring in that someone will actually use, okay? And one of the things that I say is always painful. Like I created for my dealers a dark psychology bot, okay? Why? Because the team goes, oh, I can go in and try to and you can't. Chatbots aren't built to be unethical. But I played with one to get it to where it can dabble in the gray. But like I get a copy of these lists, and it says, how do I get the girl sitting next to me in the BDC to shut up and think it's her idea, right? and then I laugh and I'm like, well, I can tell you I know which BDC that is. I just don't know which agent it was that was typing it. But again, they start using it and they start thinking, and then it becomes, if it's fun for them to use and gets them an immediate result, that's where I'm going to go put it into my department. If I can go and grab, an actual phone answering service BDC that works well, sets an appointment within 2 minutes for me, and my people can get through, and half of my people don't even know it's working, great. I've done that. Right? That'll be my best implementation, is nobody even knows. But then when you look and go, I can replace reception. Oh, okay. Do we want to? Who are they going to greet when they come in?
No.
Right? And so you have to just look and say, how do I leverage what I'm looking at? But I think it's everybody's job to counsel with the person who's seeking it and say, let's go in. Because I'm not the one who goes in, you need to buy everything right now, and we're going to be a fully automated dealership tomorrow. And it's like, it's not going to work.
Well, it's funny. I talk to dealers all the time, and I talk to dealer. I think he was in like North Dakota or something. He's like, what I want to do is replace all my salespeople. I'm like, yeah, you may not want to start there.
Right. The delivery process is really difficult because the AI can't open the doors.
Are you going to deliver the cars, man?
Right. What does that walk around look like?
So we're actually almost out of time. It's been an interesting show. Final thoughts. I know April's been having some technical difficulties, so maybe she wants to start.
Yeah. Yeah. Apologize for being on the phone versus
That's
the
okay.
computer, but,
It's all good.
But we made it. At the end of the day, I think that you have to first look at what is your biggest problem that you're trying to solve. What do we seek to solve? That's first. Then ask every person out there what they think is the best solution to solve that problem. Then schedule demos, multiple demos with multiple companies. Then test it in other places. Then get the buy-in from your team. Then bring in the trainers from that space and say, hey, I want you to come in. I want you to shadow my team. I want you to look at, whether or not you genuinely believe this is going to solve this problem before you make that final decision. So again, I think my biggest final thought is that we still need the humans. We are not replacing the humans. And thus we need to get the buy-in from the humans and make sure that it'll actually work. Because here's the one bad thing about a buzzword like AI. Once somebody has a bad experience, then they will deem it all bad.
Right.
Like every single solution and every single product now will not work because I had one bad experience with one company and one piece of AI. So it's really important that, I've told vendors don't even bring up the word AI because quite frankly, to dealers, either some it scares, but some they've had a bad experience. So at the end of the day, slow down to speed up.
Fantastic. Agree 100%. Let me see. Let's go with Joe just for fun this time.
I try to be fun. It's called edutainment. Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you right now, the easiest thing you need to stop and look at is, do you have someone already in your dealership who is more pro AI than anyone else? Right? We have people that are continuous. Like I will tell you with my clients throw me every vendor that mentions the word AI. And they're like, if Joe says it's good, we'll use it. Right. And I'm like, whoa, what? So I get to see what's out there a lot because I'm going through a lot of demos. But when I go in and I look and I say, who at the store is more prone to do it? Let's talk to that person and get them focused on what they're doing. Okay. So everybody in the group is going, April, solve this problem. Right. And so every store that's in the group is going, what did you say? Call April. Okay? But again, and I like CDK product. I love CDK's product because I had to go through the demo so many times, right? With my team comparing other CRM tools. What are we going to add? Are we going to do this piece, this piece, this piece? So find the individual that is not afraid to do the work, that has that, actual technical knowledge to say, will this be something we can do? And then always filter everything is, will people do it? Will people, am I doing the carrot to get them to use it? Right? Or am I getting the stick out to get them to use it? And is the upside big enough to justify the actual stick? So
yeah, don't apply the sledgehammer first. Probably not a good.
Correct. It'll kill the fly, but everything else it was on.
Yeah, what is it? That Looney Tunes with that.
Exactly.
Leanne, what do you think? Final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what, April and Larry have already talked about, or Joe, sorry, which is AI needs to be used to tackle problems, identify what the problems are, and then find the tool that uses it, right? The second thing is just we talked about it. Sure. Make sure it's easy to use, like implement it within your workflow. If it's something completely different and you have to get out of your ordinary world to go use it, it's not going to stick. You need something that's easy to use already within the workflows that you have. And then make sure it's intelligent, not just artificial, right? You could have anyone respond to leads coming in, but if they're not responding in a good way, that's just going to make it even worse. So just the artificial part is going to help. Make sure it's got that data to train. And I know I always go back to data, but make sure it's got that data, make sure you've got the feedback loop so that it can continue to evolve and help your dealership.
Great. Troy, last word. Wow. From a sales side, go ahead.
Nice, I like it. Well, I'm gonna sort of do a nod here to April because she's a customer, a dealer customer, and I think, like I said before, customers that are looking at AI to solve problems or because they want to learn more about it, if you can start with the lens of, is this truly AI or is this just automation? Start there. The second lens would be to Leanne's point, how good is this training data? You could have an AI that's brand new. It hasn't learned anything yet, or it's learned very little over the course of, let's say, 4 or 5 years. Is that going to be enough training data for you? Or are you going to get outputs like we were talking about earlier, where it's completely irrelevant because it's not purely automotive? So I think because we're in the start of AI, and April has got a great experience where she stubbed her toe, realized she's made some errors, and they've learned some lessons, and they've learned from it, and now have a better AI strategy. Go slow to April's point. Learn slow, but learn a lot, and understand the difference between AI and snake oil. And I think for the next little bit, there's going to be a ton of snake oil out there because it's a hot buzzword, and those people are going to get exposed, and we'll figure it out down the road.
You mean low fat isn't the answer?
I'm not a doctor. I just play one on TV.
Yeah. It's what is it?
Just ask AI what the answer is.
Low fat, something else. All right. Well, thanks everyone for being on the show today. I really appreciate it. If anyone wants one of the last remaining of these, I've got a couple colors available. Just send me an email with your mailing address. I have blue, red. I may have red, blue, and black, I think, are left. Just send me an address and I'll send one out to you. And have yourself a great day.
Thanks, everyone.